Recording in progress.
All right, peace and blessings, assalamu alaikum, shalom. Welcome to the Doc and the Radical program. Peace and blessings, Doc, how you doing?
I'm good, my brother. I'm good. How are you?
Yes, sir, doing pretty good. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself and give out the website information and stuff?
Yeah, I'm Dr. James Thomas Jones III, Captain Viola Jones's baby boy. I am a associate professor of African American Studies, and I'm a Panther historian as well. I do the modern history period from civil rights, Black Power, and I'm still a lover of hip hop culture for some reason. I must be blood for punishment on one hand. Also a lover of jazz, and I am a writer. You can find my writings at manhoodraceculture.com. And also we have a YouTube channel that we're working on, finding time to do something with that, titled Manhood, Race, and Culture. Just happy to be here. Happy to be in this number yet again this week, my brother.
All right, thanks, Doc. And today our program, we're going to be talking about how strong do you have to be as a Black man to be in America? So since that's our topic, what's your thoughts on that? How strong do you have to be a Black man in America today?
You know, I don't know how strong you have to be a Black man in America today. Now, you're talking about how strong to be sane, productive, in your right mind. You got to have the patience of Sisyphus, the strength of African gods, and really develop a mechanism. And this is one of the things that out of all the conversations that I have with my students who are getting ready to leave me, I have another graduating class getting ready to go. My message to the brothers is always the same. Well, part of my message is learn how to manage it. Learn how to manage the stress, the strain of being a Black man in America, and understand that, you know, you don't have to go through this thing totally alone. You know, one of the things that Black men tend to do is we segregate ourselves off. And we don't believe that anyone really cares about our problems and our issues and what have you. And it creates a false sense of you're the only one going through something. Nothing could be further from the truth. So to be a Black man in America, you got to be strategic. Try to not get killed by not only police officers, but also by some brother with a gun in his hand and a misguided notion in his mind. But also you have to be able to bear the brunt of it. And especially you're in a family, everybody within that family is looking at you for direction and leadership. So a mighty strength, mighty strength, I would say, that I use.
I think we may have a little feedback problem. Let me check, because you sound like you're underwater.
Okay. Can you hear it now?
Yeah, I still hear it.
Okay, let me unplug this thing. Does that work better?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, last week we ended off with talking about the mayor in Antioch, who polices the police department. I think it was like 27 people wound up being under investigation for text text messages that were sent out for police being racist. And at the community meeting, the mayor spoke out and the mayor was getting death threats and stuff like that. So I'm just going to share screen and replay that so we can pick back up off from there and people can understand where we're at. And then go straight into it.
And tired of being attacked by these people in this community, apologizing for the racism that is going on in this community. You're the problem. You're the problem.
Yeah, you were just listening to some tense moments from that council meeting last night where the mayor of Antioch got into a heated exchange with a resident who was defending the police chief and calling for the mayor to be investigated instead. Last night, the mayor and some council members demanded reforms within the police department following this racist text scandal. At first, we heard 17 officers were involved in the investigation. Well, now the mayor says up to 26 officers. That's at least 20% of Antioch's police department. So the question remains, what does the city say about having enough officers to keep people safe? Well, we talked to the chief right after the meeting.
We have adequate coverage. Thankfully, we've restructured our staffing, our patrol division, and so there will be no gaps in service. The city is safe.
So right now, the Antioch police chief reports to the city manager, but the mayor wants to change that and have the chief report to the council instead. City council members talked about making the change during that meeting last night, but no word yet on a vote. The mayor pro tem says they need to rethink how they do policing.
If we're going to keep our community safe, not just from crime, but also from the very people who are meant to protect and serve, we need to really rethink how we do policing in a more drastic way here in the city of Antioch.
Dozens of people share their stories about mistreatment at the hands of police officers during that fiery meeting last night. The fallout over this Antioch police scandal may grow stronger in the days ahead. So stick with us on our website, kpix.com, for the latest updates as we get them. Amanda.
Justin.
And I'm Mike Meeback.
And I'm Christina Rendell.
So here again, just catching up, that was the mayor. And you saw the mayor in a heated exchange with a citizen. And you saw two Black women, one on the left, one on the right, calming him down, telling him, calm, chill out. Here we have a Black man in America in a position of power, and he's taken it upon himself to use that office, the power that comes with that office. And in exchange, he gets death threats, he gets disrespected, he gets, targeted. Now, he said in another one that when he was elected, he was getting these death threats when he was elected as mayor. You will see different Black people in different offices. We've seen Barack Obama as the president, yet the word nigger and monkey didn't spare him, nor did it spare his wife. What does that say about power and a Black person occupying that house, Doc?
I mean, it speaks. I think are we still getting feedback?
Just a little.
Try this. Is that better?
Yes, that sounds a whole lot better.
We'll roll with that. I don't know what it says about power. If I'm being absolutely honest, I think that it speaks volumes in regards to this nation just being a very disrespectful place. That there is no acceptance of status, of rank, if you are Black or some bigoted white folk. And to be truthfully, some Black folk as well, who would not have any reverence whatsoever for a title because of your skin color. But I think that we also need to really take a look in a a consideration of the fact that those in power, and I always reference back to this moment in Hidden Figures with Taraji and all of them, Janelle Monáe, when she had to go and use the restroom at a faraway building, and Kevin Costner, who was her boss, was missing her, and he wants to know why, who's in charge of this. And she makes this statement. She says, well, you are. You just have to start acting like the boss. And I think that when Black folk are put in those positions by other Black folk, that you have to represent for us. You have to speak for those who have supported you yet don't have the ability or the platform to speak the truth that needs to be spoken for. I mean, when you're the hammer, you got to hit, and that brother is the hammer. And I don't care what they say, you know. And if I were the police chief, I would have responded when they were asking about gap in coverage. I would have told them, you're safer now than you've ever been. Because we got 26 criminals who are no longer, or racist bigots who are no longer on the street. So in regards to what it says about power, it just shows a total lack of reverence and respect, which is a sign of a civilized people. And as you know, we're often dealing with people who are pretty much uncivilized. They're wild children.
And so, Doc, since you can't regulate love, as they say, you can't, make somebody love you like you. When they're in that power seat, can you make them respect you? Can you make them do what they need to do?
No, you can't make them love you. You can't make them respect you. However, you can regulate behavior. What he did there, if I'm the police chief, is disorderly conduct, 30 days in jail. Meaning the gentleman that came and disrupted the city council. How many times have we seen people arrested at a city council meeting, at a school board meeting, and what have you? 30 days, player. Even 30 days to think about this. That is not a abuse of power. It's what it is. So you can regulate behavior. I mean, keep in mind that with all the hatred that happens within this nation, there are a whole lot of people, I would argue millions, if not hundreds of billions of people, who wouldn't be walking around today if there wasn't a significant punishment for murder. But because they're gonna lock you away forever, if you kill this fool, you don't do it. So you can regulate behavior. I can't regulate your thoughts, nor would I want to regulate your thoughts. But when you are in my presence and I am your superior, you will do as I expect for you to do. And if you don't, I got something for you.
Now, Doc, you brought up a good point about you can't regulate thoughts. There is a thought that goes around in the Black community, or the Black colony, that white is right, white equals might. You would have a Black person do one thing and a white person come do the exact same thing. But the Black person will be called to account. And even when you have the situation where we talked about before with President Obama and Skip Gates and that little regular police officer, but yet when Obama said something, it was pushed way back with authority, like he's their nigger. Is there a mentality that you think that goes around that since our ancestors were freed from their enslavement, that even though I may not control you through a slave, but yet through chains, but yet I still own you. Whereas regardless of your role as authority, I can be the little white boy from nowhere, nobody knows, but yet because I wear this badge, I have more power and authority over you.
Well, I missed something. Where's the question?
The question is the thought pattern, because in the mind of a lowliest cracker, as long as he got that badge on, he has a power and authority, regardless to what your rank may be, no matter what your station in life may be. That thing of, yeah, we freed you from physical chains, yet because of who I am, because of my color, I still own you. Do you see that thought prevailing?
Of course I see that thought. You know, it's ingrained in this nation. Let's be very clear. I mean, when you look at Old Glory, you know, the stitching that is holding Old Glory together is a combination of racial bias, classism, gender bias, and what have you. It is who we are as a nation. And as Paul Mooney would say, it's in the blood and it ain't going nowhere. So when we understand that it's in the blood and it's not going nowhere, there's not much that you can do to such people outside of just lock them up, give them some significant form of punishment or a good old back alley whooping. And that ain't even going to impact their minds. And it's one of the reasons, to be honest with you, why when I hear people being, you know, publicly apologizing for something that they got caught doing, I throw it out the window, because they don't mean that. What they're really saying is, man, I'm so sorry that I got caught.
Mm.
It's who they are. And there, you know, there is no way of getting around. You know, you just accept that fact that this is how this person is. And it's not that you just move on, but you keep on with your program. Now, if they try to disrupt your program, you need to address that and address it in a way that they'll never forget that they have been addressed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And beyond that, there's not much that you can do. I mean, when you look at this situation that we're dealing with right now, they say it's 26 officers that were involved with those texts.
Exactly.
That's who they are. These are grown men. They're fully developed. Okay. So now what the city council needs to decide, what the police chief needs to decide is this a significant mental illness affecting these officers? And if you come up with yes, they up out of here. I don't care nothing about no crying, no gnashing of teeth, no talking about your children. You up out of here, play.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And you know, and I've said this before, that you need to fire everybody on the police department and start over fresh with those who have a certain mindset in order to have true freedom, justice, and equality, to have true security. Because when you're dealing with that mindset that we have been up against, there's no morality, there is no nothing that will defeat that mindset except that they're no longer living. To me, that is the only thing that's going to get the job done. They can't be living, they can't be breathing the same air we breathe, because in their minds, it's an automatic thing of, I must own you, you work for me, regardless of to what your station is in life. And I believe that part of that problem is our dealing with them. Our relations that we're dealing with them have to be altered. I watched an accident last week where a Black woman and a Black man had a car accident. And the Black woman was just, I mean, man, she was just lighting it up, you know, and I'm at the gas station pumping gas, and an older Black woman is next to me pumping gas. And the way the Black sister was going off, she was nervous. The older woman was nervous, and it had nothing to do with the accident, you know, but she's just standing there watching and, you know, thinking, oh, the girl gonna get a gun or this, that, or the other. And I stayed there and watched, and I saw one white man walk over there and talk to her, and she ceased the aggression.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it went away. There was no more aggression. He didn't have no gun. He didn't have nothing. And the older white lady was telling me, oh, he's stupid. He better call for backup. He better do this. He was just street security. That's what he wasn't, no police. He was just security. And she calmed down, but the older Black woman was saying he's stupid because he didn't call for backup. He don't have this, he don't have that. But what I saw was that his presence alone got her to chill out.
He has the complexion for the protection. And there's something to be said for, I call them idolaters. What you just saw was somebody who was literally kind of facing their God.
Mm.
And in saying that, you know, she's afraid of God. She's afraid of what comes from that. But now one of us, she will berate, she will demean, she will, and that's coming from, honestly, a deep, dark seated place. And it's something that if our community were truly interested in being honest, we could all create probably 10 of those similar scenarios where we've seen Black folk wilding out against other Black folk. But the moment they hit that job and they hit that, or they hit, you know, they'd chill that out right away. And it relates a sickness, a mental illness, that you feel that, you know, the person that you're talking to is literally worthless. And now, how do you get beyond that type of thing? I know not, because it is that's rough. And when you know, a part of me, I'm working on this thing about on a paper about police violence. And one of the things that when you look at the Bay Area of California, and I'm talking about when Oakland Police Department officers beat up Tupac, and what the history is of the OPD. As Black folk migrated from Texas and Louisiana primarily to the Bay Area, local white leaders within the Bay Area decided that they needed to address this influx of Black folk from the South. So they reached into Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, all these deep Southern states, and they hired police officers from there to come out here and deal with these Black folk. I think that that's partially what you're seeing when you describe what it is that you just saw, that Black folk have been socialized within their own homes of how to deal with Black folk, how to handle them, how to this and that. And it's often some of the most disrespectful stuff that one could ever come across. You know, we have taught ourselves what it is and how you should handle us. And that's a problem. That's problematic, especially when you see someone just berating a grown man. You know you can't whoop him, okay? But he is still so beneath you that he ain't deserving of even respectful language. And you know, and as a person who works on a black college campus, I can tell you, I call it the 6 to 10 foot look away. When someone's walking towards you, they get within 6 to 10 feet, they either turn their head or put their head down. That person doesn't believe that you're even worthy of acknowledging. There's something there. How can Black folk not acknowledge each other's existence? How can we do each other in so seriously and significantly and routinely as if it's just a Tuesday? There's something there, you know. And once again, I will say this forever, the biggest illness within, the greatest illness within Black America is mental illness. No doubt about it.
Wow. Doc, do you believe that there is a behavior continuum going from the process of a person that's dead to the knowledge of self to a person who is fully awoke, aware of what needs to happen, and they're not afraid to make it happen. Do you believe that there's a behavioral scale that you grow up to? How do you see that going from sleep to awoke process?
You know, I would love to be able to say yeah, because that would be one of the keys, one of the much needed keys for us to be able to get our people in their right mind. But I can't, because I've seen so many quote unquote woke brothers who are some of the most condescending, rude, I'm so high and mighty, who are you to even talk to me type of individuals. You know, if you go back and you look at Huey P. Newton's book, Revolutionary Suicide, Huey was always willing to take some moments and just talk to the people. He said, anybody that comes up to you, you should be willing to share what you know, okay? Because you did not always know what you know now. And that came from a place. And the place that it came from was actually Huey as a young guy trying to talk to these collegians who had more knowledge than him. And they just dismissed him. And he said, I would never do that to anyone because it stuck with me so significantly. I don't think that quote unquote wokeness is a guarantee that the mental disease that we have to actively fight almost on a moment by moment basis when dealing with Black folk has been suppressed.
So do you
because you got to remember, this is one of the things that my pastor said to me from the pulpit. Always remember, education ain't never done nothing for the heart.
do you think that like for you, when you were being awoken to the knowledge of what's going on and who you really are and who they really are, what was that process for you?
You know I arrived that way, right? You know, just to talk about how you became who you are. But for me, I was raised by parents who were politically and racially conscious. So I've never had a moment in my life that I wasn't around that. You know, my father, my dad used to, this is back in the 60s, my dad used to literally hitchhike from Ohio to New York. And I'm like, he said, oh, it was a different time then. You could get in the car with a stranger and be comfortable. But he heard Malcolm. Okay. He literally was in Malcolm's presence. My mother, I remember when Jet Magazine had this thing where someone, you know, I'm in the 6th grade, someone had made a comment that the Black dollar was not an integral part of the American economy. And some Black leader said that what we're going to do for the next month is we're going to, every dollar we spend, it's going to be a Susan B. Anthony dollar. I'm the only kid at my school with Susan B. Anthony dollars because my mother said, yeah, this is what you're going to use. And so that's the lineage that, you know, I came from. But at the exact same time of saying that I came from that lineage, I've never been a part of a lot of Black groups because I've seen them as being inefficient. I've seen them as being not much different than a fraternity or sorority with the foolishness that they do. You know, it's and to me, I'm reminded of Ice Cube in My Summer Vacation. Great song. If you never heard it, you should listen to it. It's about drug dealers leaving South Central LA. They going to St. Louis. Um, and Q makes he has this line in there, and he says, it's illegal business. And brothers still can't stick together. I've seen that within the Black nationalist movement. You know what I'm saying? This is about racial uplift, and we got jealousy because this brother didn't get to speak. How come you let so-and-so speak every time and I don't ever get to say nothing? And and you're just like, but we had 150 kids here today that we were able to, and they really don't care. So I don't see I don't see weakness. I don't see wokeness being able to instill humility, respect for others. You're just a person, and God forbid if you're a bad person before you were woke, you'll be a bad person probably woke. You're just able to get in front of a mic and be more grandiose than other people are. So no, I don't see it that way.
So you don't believe that when knowledge hits them, that they will make a complete change once they understand the knowledge that they got?
No, you ain't met some of the brothers I done met apparently, who are notable, and it ain't changed them. Not at all. They don't have what we talk about often, a servant's heart. And without that, what are you gonna do? So no, I don't see it as I've seen change, but I don't see it as the primary determining factor in someone changing. Okay. I mean, you think back about your trip to Houston, you think that brother didn't change?
No.
Okay, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's no 100% guaranteed, but you would hope that there would be some element in some moment of growth. And sometimes that's the best that we can hope for.
Yeah, because I think back and I look at Malcolm X, and the changes that he made with it, that he went through, and that was a complete 360-degree change.
See, I disagree. I disagree with that, brother. I don't believe that Malcolm changed 360, well 180 or 540, because 360, he back in the same spot he was before. Yeah. Okay.
So
and the reason I say that is that the very things that that led to Malcolm's existence in the street, he's a street hustler. He's able to talk to people. Those are the same qualities that made him, it's ironic that the same qualities that would make you a great pimp would make you a great preacher. You're just using them for different reasons and hoping for a different outcome. And when you really, if you look at Malcolm from a unbiased position, it was his mouth that found him in trouble every single time. He liked to talk, in public at least.
But I can see that point where you're saying that, those same skills that he used in the street, he used once he became Malcolm X.
Yeah.
But those were the same skills, but his mind, his agenda, his motivations, all of that changed. So he wasn't robbing our people or anybody any longer. He was using what he was good at, what he knew, and feeding what was good and what was good for our people, to our people, to elevate them. And to be more progressive, to be more understanding of who they are and who the enemy is. So that makes a whole 180 change and you're not being what you were.
No, you still are, as Jay put it, man, you
Mhm.
were who you were, you're who you were before you even got here. Your hardware is not going to change. And just like you're talking about Malcolm, the very
Mhm.
things that made him successful in the streets are the things that allowed him to be able to convince people and fish for people. Now he's using his talents and his skills for good now.
Right.
Okay, that's beyond debate. But to say that just because someone comes into knowledge of self, that they're going to be kinder, they're going to be more considerate, they're going to be, more cautious. I don't know. I don't know. Because the same talkative brother that's been talking about Sports Center and what's going on in the NBA or the NFL or what have you, well, you immerse him within, Black history and our people, he's gonna be just as gibberish and about that. But to expect for all of them to have some change, I mean, come on, let's be honest. That we got a bunch of brothers, I won't say a bunch, but there are brothers who are out here who are smooth with the gift of gab, got a very little bit of historical knowledge, and will fleece our people,
True. True.
shear them like they're sheep.
Hmm. That's true.
And you know the roster of individuals who are actively exploiting our people. So
That's true.
I think it's a person by person basis. That there are some people in our midst who, for all intents and purposes, could not resist doing something immoral if they thought no one was watching.
Mm. Mm. Isn't it, what makes you who you are is what you do. What you do makes you who you are, right?
No,
Would you
no,
agree with that?
no. I think that who you are is what you do behind closed doors when no one's looking. That's who you are. If you look at a person's behavior
Mhm.
when there is no immediate consequence to what it is they're doing, that's who they are. Those lines begin to get blurred when there's some consequence to what it is that you're doing. But as long as you're free to make an independent choice that has no immediate repercussions, oh, that's who you are. What you do behind closed doors, what you do in your private time, and that's who you are. Now, when you come out in public, and we see it all the time. When people come out in public, they begin to conform to what they think is expected of them.
Mhm.
That's not necessarily who you are.
Mhm.
Those are two wholly different things.
Mm. Let me see.
It
Because
comes down
sometimes
to,
those go
yeah,
ahead, what'd you say, Doc?
I mean, it comes down to the measure of the sort of got us back to Black men. It comes down
Mhm.
to the measure of being a Black man.
Mhm.
You know, how do you treat your children? How do you provide for your children? How do you during those private moments, how do you
Mhm.
think of yourself and your children and the road ahead and what it is that you perceive for them and you desire for them? Those private moments. Now, righteous men have a certain set of expectations and desires and things like that. But it's a grave error to think that all men have those intentions. There's some people out here that's got some intentions and some designs and some plans that are just irreconcilable with living in a civilized society, let alone around Black folk. I mean, come on. We have rapists in our community. We have robbers in our community. We have thieves in our community. And that's just kind of who they are.
But my thinking, and I'm trying to find a really good example. Because once knowledge comes to you and you accept that knowledge, then whatever.
Whoa, let me stop you there.
Okay.
Can knowledge come to you and you not accept it and integrate it into your worldview? And you
Yes.
can just, could you just pull on it when it's convenient?
Well, then in my understanding, you have not truly accepted the knowledge. Then what that is like, you're using knowledge like a coat. You put it on when it's cold and take it off when it's hot. So you've not really accepted it. You've not really accepted it.
Let me ask you a question. What percentage of the nationalist community, of those who have been exposed, would fit that definition? Out of your experience, what percentage? Think about all the brothers that you know. And see that leads us to another question, which I think is important as well, and that is quite simply, what is that marker? What is that indicator that you have met, that you've been exposed to knowledge itself, and it hooked into your soul? That's a whole nother issue. And it's one of the reasons why, when scripture talks about you can't serve two masters, that's the same thing right there. That you got a taint of wokeness over here. You're able to put a dashiki and a kufi on to go to the Kwanzaa celebration. Yet at the exact same time, you sell weed and do damaging things to our community.
And I think this is the problem, because you find that to be that way in the nationalist, quote unquote, Black power community. But there's a difference, like within the Nation of Islam. There's a total difference. Not saying that everybody is 100.
Be careful now.
Not saying that everybody is 100. Not saying that at all. But there's a closer number who are meeting that mark than those who are not meeting that mark. There's a higher number of those that meet that mark than those that don't meet that mark.
Okay. Can I ask you this? Okay. Could a part of, let's say what you're saying is true. Could a part of the reason behind that be the presence of there being physical retribution for conning and conniving within the Nation of Islam?
Part of that probably could, because law, no one wants to be punished and then known that you've been breaking the law. So there comes that punishment, because the law can hide what's in your heart, and make you look to be more righteous, but really in your heart, if there was no law, you'll be out doing the things that you want to be out there doing. I would say that does play a part. That does play a part, but I don't think that number is a very high number. I don't think that number is a very high number, because when I think about the things that you do and, putting your life on the line, and there's no payday. There's nothing put up that's going to take care of you die in the cause. There's nothing that's set up that's going to take care of your family because you dead and gone now. So those who take on that role, I believe, honestly, do it from a position of sincerity and trying to live up to the code that we decide to live our lives by. And for me, being able to have a foot in both communities and understanding, like when we had the Black Power Conference Summit, and the brother who wrote the book, I Will Shoot Back, or We Will Shoot Back, he was there. And out of everybody in the room who spoke, and when he got to me, he said, you are the only one that's at war. You're the only one in here that's at war. And me being able to have conversations with different people and, their responses many a times left me like, are you serious?
Mhm.
What do you think? Is this a game? And it's saddening because I understand that they're really not about that life that they project.
Mhm.
And because they're not about it, people that come around them and think that they really are, when that time of decision comes, they're going to lose their lives because they were playing house instead of really understanding what really goes on. And that's a sadness that I had to deal with, that I have to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, it begs this follow-up question. What percentage of Black America, of Black men, let's just deal with Black men, who would be willing to lay down their lives for the race?
I
Or
would say,
go ahead.
I would say out of Black America, maybe 20%, I'm thinking.
Just for Black folk, not for a son, not for a daughter, not for somebody for just for Black folk in general, but not
Okay.
just Black folk.
Then I would say probably 5%, 3%.
Okay, now my question would be this. Do you believe that that's the lowest percentage of all the different races and ethnicities that are present in this nation?
Yes. Yeah.
And so the
Well,
question, the natural next question is quite simply why?
because we don't as a people, we don't have that love of your brother and your sister that you really should have. And you're so separated. There's no such thing as, what you said a few weeks ago, I is we.
Mhm.
That does not exist. And because that doesn't exist, for the majority of our people, that's how we can stand by and watch our people get beat, get killed, by no matter whether it's the police officer or another Black person or an Asian person, because we don't have that sentiment of I is we.
The George Floyd thing is getting ready to come up on an anniversary. I was asked to come down to, we have a place, the Gregory School. It's called the African American Library. So we'll be having a program down there. I went back and looked at the footage of the Floyd murder.
Mhm.
Nobody could rush forward and knock that officer off of him.
Mhm.
the recent subway killing.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody could intercede, and I would bet my last dollar. And to be honest with you, when you think about it, you have not seen it. You have not seen a black person, and really I would say a person of color, able to yoke up a white person in a crowd of white people. And they just sit there and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem. And it's one of those. I remember being at a movie theater, and it was one of those movie theaters that has a bowling alley. And some girls on my then stepdaughter's basketball team were there, being harassed by some guys of all races.
Mm.
And they're shook. And they literally came up to me and explained to me what was going on. And that their parents were on the way. And I said, okay, now I'm on my way, leaving the movie theater. I've seen the movie I'm going to see. I said, all right, cool. Come over here with me. And we sat down there and they bowled, and the guys were looking at them, glaring at them. But they knew, come on down here. If this is what you desire, come on down here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there were no problems. Their parents got there. They called and let us know that they were outside. I stayed there until each one of those young ladies was in their parents' car and was leaving.
Mm.
There's a love that is missing for your fellow human, that is kind of blanketing throughout this entire nation. And the truth of the matter is, and maybe I'm just kind-hearted, I would have done that, and one of the girls was actually a white girl.
Mm-hmm.
I would have done that for white girls, to save somebody who's potentially in a dangerous situation. Because I believe in karma, and God forbid my son is ever in such a situation. I would want someone to help him.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not, damn, where's the love?
Mm-hmm.
Where's that love that Black folk used to have for each other? Where's the love and the respect that some Black men still have it,
Mm-hmm.
but then it's a crapshoot, because you have some who have no idea of Black brotherhood, and would just as soon spit on you as look at you.
Exactly. And just to pull a comment from our audience, Brother Fred Kelly said, small percentage because the general population don't know the importance. And that's the importance of sticking together, the importance of defending each other, the importance of loving one another. They don't understand the importance of that. I think that white people they are in agreement when it comes to them and their status. They have come to an agreement that we're not gonna let no niggas run us. That's something that is there.
Yeah, I mean, that's in their history. You know what I'm saying? When you go back and you look at the American Revolution, Thomas Jefferson wrote this: "We will not be the slaves of Britain." At the same time that they were enslaving our ancestors, it was a non-starter for them. And there's a staunch defiance. And one of the things, one of the reasons why I believe that white males are often so braggadocious and bold, even though physically they're very limited in what they can do. They're never told no as children.
Mm.
Look at them at the store, running wild, knocking
Mm.
shit off the shelves, this and that. Their ability, their desire to be free is rarely curtailed. Whereas for us, we create our parents out of sake of safety. Our parents used to, they would admire, look, when we go in the store, don't you act a fool, don't you show your color, don't you boom, boom. They're creating kind of, if I can get him to conform to what I'm telling him to do, then the police won't kill him. The school won't kick him out.
Mhm.
And I think that that's a big part of, they've never known anything other than how they are. Whereas we have an urge, but we got that invisible electric fence around us that says, well, now there's some areas that you don't go into. Maybe you
So,
try to jump the fence if they choking your mama out, maybe. But otherwise, stay in your place. And I yield, brother.
so because we are quote unquote civilized, and they're left to be savages, then there comes a place, there's a price to pay for being civil.
I mean, back to the British Army. They're a professional army. They were there for that time. They were wrong. Nobody could stand up to the British Army. They had to kick France's ass, jacked all their stuff. Okay,
Mhm.
and here these farmers are going to beat them. Ain't no way in hell that's gonna happen. One of the tactics that the colonists would use against the British, you've seen those old American Revolution films, those battle scenes where they stand across from each other and shoot each other.
Mhm.
Colonists were basically like, man, F that. Let me hide behind this tree. And they was picking them off. And British soldiers felt that was beneath them. And in one battle, one of these farmers yelled out to the British, hey, you do know y'all can hide behind trees too. But they refused to do it because they considered that undignified. And I see a lot of a lot of times I see it in brothers sometimes, but within white America I see it more frequently, and it is the seeming adoption of Al Davis's great mantra for the Oakland Raiders: if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Whereas we trying to be fair, they trying to win. Look at the Republican Party. They don't care if you, yeah. It's obvious we lying, but look, somebody gonna believe what we saying.
Mhm.
They're more interested in winning than they are in being moral.
Mm. Exactly. And so I want to go to Kim Gardner, who is, or she still currently is. She wound up the political Democrats in St. Louis, the Black ones, convinced her to give up her seat as the county prosecutor. And we're going to listen to this and we come back and get your opinion on what you've heard. She was the first Black county prosecutor for St. Louis, and white folks did not like it. They didn't want to have to sit and come to no office and work for no Black woman and all this foolishness. And so, they put the pressure on, and the Black Democrats approached her and said, this is for the good of the city, you got to go. So let's check her out.
I'm going to change things up right now. And I thank the panel for being here. But I just want to say something. I just want to say I really appreciate you coming here and being a part of this, because this is very important. And why I'm changing this up is because, we have people here who want to silence me, right? They want to capture every word I'm saying so they can use this as a soundbite for criminal contempt or a vehicle to try to take me out of office. So I'm gonna be brief, but I'm gonna say this. We have these young people here that I'm looking at, and I just heard Farrakhan, and he inspired me to get up. And why I got up is because when you do the right things in life, right? When you go to school, you try to be a productive citizen, you go into law school, then you end up working for the circuit attorney's office and seeing the poverty, seeing the injustice, seeing the issues inside those courtrooms. And you see when a judge sentences anyone to any amount of time, they ask them, what's your last employment history? Most people have little to none. What is the last grade you completed in school? Most people have dropped out before the 5th grade. They ask you what's your health issues, or you have any medicine you're taking so you can appreciate or understand the proceeding. And what we're focusing on is we're focusing on me. But I want you to focus on each and every one of you, regardless if you live in the city, the county, you live across the waters in Illinois, you live in any other jurisdiction. What you're seeing is a witch hunt. And when I talk about a witch hunt, what they want you to believe is about a case. It's not about a case. What it was about, it was December 18th. That's the day my father died. And before I was elected, I had a meeting with the police union, and they told me, we will let you be in this office if you make sure you never hold any police officer accountable. We'll let you have that next election and make sure no one runs against you if you make sure no one is held accountable who is considered law enforcement. And I politely said, and I'm not gonna tell you what I really said, but I got up and I said I would never go into this position and not do the right thing. And what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that everything that happens in his office is somehow not my fault or I'm not accountable. And what they want you to say, I'm not a leader. I'm more than a leader. I've been leading a organization that has been purposely disinvested from day one. I've been leading an organization that people have colluded and conspired inside the office and out to make sure we're not successful. And I've still kept it going for over 7 years and done our job. But what they want you to think is about this case. What it's about is justice for all. What it's about is individuals who look like me, how we're criminalizing the system that we call the criminal justice system, and we are the victim and the perpetrator. And guess what? We have no rights to equal justice under the law. And what they want you to believe is, as the first African-American prosecutor, that I don't believe in crime when I live every day in North City and I see crime in my own family. I've been abused by the system myself. But they want you to believe that somehow I'm different because all the education I got and I don't have the experience or the leadership skills to run this office. But what you can't run an office that you have people inside and out purposely tearing this office down. And I'm not going to, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm not leaving, I'm not resigning, I'm not doing nothing. You're gonna have to remove me. And I don't care if I have, and it's funny how we talk about history, right? We talk about, let's go back to Freeman Bosley Jr., the first African-American male of the city of St. Louis, and how they had the body count on the Post-Dispatch paper every day. The same thing that's being done to me, all of a sudden, how many cases we have and how many people we have. We ain't never had enough people in this office. And for you to think that somehow it's gotten better when you have a purpose agenda to attack the very individuals who work every day, and then you say, I'm not protecting them? It's funny, ain't it? It's funny how we're seeing how individuals can stretch the law to whatever they imagine it to be, and you want people to participate in this process as victims and say it's fair? Come on now. The Attorney General right now, the unelected Attorney General, has a report every year. 1 in 3 African Americans are stopped more than any other person in the state of Missouri, not just in the city of St. Louis. Over 80% of the arrests are African Americans. And we have a relatively 47, 46% split of diversity in our community, in the city of St. Louis alone. Do you think that's purposeful, or it's just black people commit crime? I've been criminalized every day because of my black skin, because I'm black. There's no mistake about it. I live a black life, I live a black experience, and I'm about the people, all people, not just black people, because when we talk about victims of crime, it's all of us. You have people who purposely, when I was a state legislator, said everyone has access to a gun and I'm gonna give you a self-defense claim, and they have the nerve to have you think they care about crime in the city of St. Louis when they say they want to protect the rights of a 12-year-old to have an AK-47, and y'all sitting there listening to what they're saying? The truth is, silence is compliance. The truth is, we have people who look like me in these positions of power who sit there and want to see the show and want to sit there and say, well, we don't know what's going on. What's going on? I've never had a fair shake. If you think I was having a fair shake in this office, and it's not about me. It's not about me. It's about the people of the city of St. Louis, because I am you and you are me, and I fight so hard because the people who elected me told me, do not do things the same way. Do not look at cases the same way. Do not make up evidence and put it on people because I'm trying to make a statistic. We're more than a statistic. We're more than a number. But what I want to say is, for the young people, I know that's why I wanted to come before the panel, because I want the young people to be inspired, but what I don't want them to think is, you're seeing someone weaponize the law against someone who has a law license, right? And a title. I'm not saying my title means anything, it doesn't. It's a title. But if you see someone weaponize the law in this way against me, what does an everyday person face going through the criminal justice system? What does John Doe and Jane Doe face when they in the wrong place at the wrong time, and all of a sudden, the description coming in from the police department is black male or black female, 18 to 47, white t-shirt. And actually, that's a real description. That's not me making that up. That's a real description that I've seen when I was an assistant circuit attorney, and I said, get out of here, we're not doing that. But see, when you do the right thing and you stand in the face of power and you say, I'm gonna do the right thing, even when the pressure tells you to conform, because all I had to do at that meeting before I took office was say, yes, boss, I'll do my job like a good circuit attorney, because if you think that office wasn't controlled by the police department, they came in there and told you what to do, how to do it, who to charge, what to charge, and what to make the case. And I said, we're not doing that today. And I lost a lot of attorneys because they're afraid of standing up for what's right. And I'm gonna say this, when you talk about a rudderless ship, when I heard that term, the rudderless ship, well, when you have no foundation based on anything, what are you talking about? The criminal justice system is doing what it's always designed to do. And we're trying to change the Titanic of a ship to be fair and just, because I don't want any more Lamar Johnsons. And you think Lamar Johnson's the only one? Come on now. Come on now. But what they want me to do is to make it look like this job is easy. This job is not easy. But as a prosecutor, you represent the people. When you can't make the case, you can't make the case. When evidence falls apart, because the police, of course, the police bring all the evidence to us. We get it all on the right time. That's not true. When things fall apart and things turn out the wrong way, we have to say we can't go forward. And people don't like that. We can't make things fit. That's not what justice is about, and that's what a prosecutor, our job is to pursue justice, not merely convictions. That is in the oath and the Constitution we take. This is not a progressive label. This is not a law and order label. This is a prosecutor's job to pursue justice, not merely convictions. So I'm gonna close with this. In spite of what's happening to me, right? I want you to know, if they can do this in the way they're doing it, if they can report this in the way they report this, look at these young people. When they ride in the car and they get stopped, what happens? Let's be real, what happens? Everybody gets an arrest that day, don't they? Everybody gets pulled out the car and searched, and everybody has some kind of arrest. Do you don't think that arrest affects those young people? We ain't talking about a conviction, I'm talking about the arrest. The arrest. And what's happening today, I have a law license, I have a nursing license, I'm a funeral director. What they're doing is they wanna make sure they ruin me, so this is the night ride, so each and every one of y'all see. Never run for office, never be in this position and do the right thing, because they'll take you out like Kim Gardner. But guess what? You can't take me out. Can't take me out, because I'm not afraid of none of this. But I'm afraid of people on the outside who really think, like I said, they want me to be crying and fearful. I'm not fearful of lies. I'm not fearful of stretching the law to fit. What I'm fearful is that you don't remember, and please remember this. Regardless of the outcome of me, remember this. Stand up, fight, because whoever had his office, I'm gonna tell you, they're gonna tell them what to do. They're gonna tell them who to do, who to charge, what to charge, when to charge, and who to go after. And that's the danger. That's why they fight so hard. I mean, they got a bill right now to take me out of office. If I'm so, what, little old me? I mean, really, y'all, just little old me. I'm just Kim Gardner from North City. My mom and my uncle here, Eddie Randall and Sons, lifelong resident. That's where I come from. Little old me, I'm that dangerous. I'm that deadly for the city of St. Louis, but them officer-involved shootings ain't deadly for the city of St. Louis. Them wrongful cases ain't deadly for the city of St. Louis. Them unsolved murders ain't deadly for the city of St. Louis. No, that's not deadly, but little old me. Okay. But, you know, I wanted to get up here because Farrakhan inspired me. But, you know, the youth, we got hope. We need hope. Because we hope. They don't want to go in to be a prosecutor. Why do they want to go to law school when they see what's being done? Why do they want to go further in elected politics when they see, unless you wink, nod, and agree with everything, and you got to be controlled by handlers? The only handler I have is justice. The only person to tell me what to do is the Constitution. And you should be afraid that they're going to take out your representative to take away your vote, your voice, regardless of you care about Kim Gardner or not. It doesn't even matter. You should care about this position so much that I am the only elected official. Listen, the only elected official in the criminal justice system. The judges ain't elected. The governor right now can't even appoint his own judges in his jurisdiction, but he can appoint them in yours. You should be afraid of that. And you're going to have people that look like you tell you, this fair process. No, it's not. No, it's not. That's why they took that away. That's why they want to take away your prosecutor. We already been in Mississippi. See, Mississippi, we've already done that 100 years. We've already had our police department state controlled. We already, and you talking about Mississippi, looking at Tennessee and Mississippi, we already been here, but we ain't said nothing. And guess what? Kim Gardner is saying a whole bunch. And I'm not going to stop. Like I said, I don't care if I have nobody in my office. Because it's about doing the right things. And if you stand in silence and you sit there and watch the show and think it's okay, it's me here now today. It's going to be you next and your family next. So I got to go, and I thank you and I appreciate you.
All right, Doc. So that was Sister Kim Gardner. And, you know, as I said, unfortunately, the Democrats made her go ahead and step down. And we'll show that video later. But what are your thoughts on what you just heard?
You know, beyond my thoughts, I mean, I can tell you my emotions, a profound sense of sadness, because that sister right there is alone. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that just irks me is to be in a meeting, a church service, or what have you, with Black people, and they are the amen people. You know, walk with it, speak, talk it, let it be known, and ain't gonna do shit to help you. As soon as a single white person walks up in there, they're gonna climb up. That sister right there is alone. That is your duly elected politician, and y'all allowing her to be removed. You know, it just takes me back to just my belief that there's a certain level of trouble that Black people can find themselves in, that there is no Black person who has the power and the will to help them. And that's what you're seeing right there. That's sad. And they're sitting up in there, amening and tell it like it is, and this, and the Democrats all You know, and the thing is, and maybe it's the part of me that is a historian, and maybe like Malcolm, they made a mistake when they allowed me to read their history books. But where's your patriotism? Because if you were truly patriotic, you would take the position that Patrick Henry took: give me liberty or give me death. But instead of doing that, you cower and you hide. And she's absolutely correct. The message that is being taught to those young folk is don't even try. Because obviously you're gonna be up here all alone. And I yield.
And you know, Doc, it is sad. It brings great sadness, because you're right, she is alone. You can just see it.
How are you alone in your community of origin? You know how scared you gotta be of white folk to be alone at home?
Mhm. Yeah.
That's shameful
Mhm.
that you're alone at home.
Mhm. Exactly. And you know, to have the judges against you, or I can speak for sure, there's one judge that's leading the charge, the state's attorney that's leading the charge against you, and then the governor leading another charge against you.
Yeah.
And you're standing there doing the best. And as she talked about, she got enemies within her own office that are sabotaging.
Without a doubt.
And it's like, my God, you know, she's fighting everybody. Everywhere she turns, there's a fight. And we'll play some of the videos from those who worked in her office who started to quit, because that's what happened. The white attorneys started to quit. You know, caseload ain't been no different than what it always been. But now, because you got a Black woman sitting in that chair with authority who's not allowing you to do to Black people what you want to do, who's not allowing crooked cops that have been caught in lie after lie bring cases now. So they're like, oh no, you trying to disrupt the wheel. And so now it's like she's Jesus on the cross, about to pay that price for being right, not just to Black people, but being right to the people that she served, all people that's under her jurisdiction. And you know, she said it twice. She said Farrakhan inspired her. She said it in the beginning and she closed with it in the end. That Farrakhan inspired her to get up and do. You know, it's something about the power to inspire. And then once they're inspired, we have to figure out a way to keep them propped up so that when the negatives, like she was saying, you know, you'll have Black Democrats to tell you it's this way, and it's not that way. And so, because the people of St. Louis has lost a great champion. You know, her resignation takes place June 1st. And the damn state's attorney say, no, we're going to keep this case pushing because we want her out before June 1st. And it's like, how much more do she have to pay for wanting to do and doing what is right? And it's like, Black people who elected her, all people who elected her, you're losing your voice. And they're going to appoint somebody. And you're going to sit back. It's like you still want to be sheep. You know, and it's no wonder that the Bible, when it talks about the people, it refers to the people always as sheep
Mhm.
being led to the slaughter. Doc, if this persists, if there's no wake up for the so-called sheep, what is the outcome that you see? Not just for Black people, but what is the outcome you see for people, period?
I just think that, and I'd like to just deal with our people. I think the best equivalent will be the existence as if you are in a concentration camp or reservation. The goal will be to not get killed, and that's been the goal for centuries now for Black folk. You know, you're cowardly, you're disorganized, you refuse to even prepare to go to battle with these people because they have terrorized you. And, you know, I'll tell you, one of the things that for me is when I see Black folk, I don't care what age, what gender, when I see them out, even dressed in the uniform of, what the only way I can term it is the uniform of the defeated. They're of no help, no use to us beyond being background noise as if they're in a studio audience. You know, you're going to be corralled, and you're going to be abused and killed whenever they decide that they want to lynch one or two of you up. That's your fate, because you chose to not be organized, courageous. You chose to be sinful. God has given you all of these talents and these abilities, and you mute them out of fear. That's what I see. It isn't even what I see coming. It's what I see actively happening to our people.
You know, Brother Kelly says, we had a Black president, no change. Politics isn't the solution. And I want to say two things about that and get your opinion, Doc. One, Barack Obama, because he looked Black, not necessarily being Black just because you look it. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that because we're in this environment where politics plays a part, we have to be politically smart. We have to be involved in politics, because if we're not involved in politics from a Black perspective, then you will not get a Black attorney general, a Black mayor, a Black city council. What we have to do is make sure that these people that we put in office, these Black people that we put in office, are Black first, and that we beat them, so when the enemy comes, we're already ready for it and ready to fire back. So politics is a part of that solution. And I don't believe that being in this environment and trying to abstain from politics will be the complete part of the complete solution that we face. Doc, what say you?
You know, just like a good football team, you got to have a good running game, a good passing game, and a good special teams game. I'm committed to fighting them at every front. Okay, I don't concede anything politically, socially, economically, culturally. You know, when I go somewhere and I lecture, I tell them I love my nation because this is my nation. I don't bequeath them anything. My ancestors died for this. Okay. And so, yeah, I will fight them politically. I will fight them until hell freezes over. And when it thaws, we'll still be fighting. It is a mistake to not take that tactic. And at the same time that I'm dealing with them politically, I'm working to build Black minds. I'm working to build the Black community. I'm building those individuals that I say that we need. If I feel that education is the linchpin of it, look here. I didn't produce about 50 Black educators who are Black-minded. And now I'm getting ready to turn my attention towards curriculum. Okay. Because we need some people who are writing the script and deciding who it is that's going to, what they're going to say in front of their classroom. We have to fight them. There's no getting around the fact that if you're in a state like the state I'm in Texas, we've had this movement, an idea that my university should go ahead and withdraw from a dominant PWI system, from the Texas A&M University system. And then it dawned on them that if we do withdraw, we get our own board. Guess who appoints it? Roller derby Greg Abbott.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So you might just want to stay where you at.
Ugh.
And until you get him up out of there, what can you do? You ain't sitting on no grand jury. You ain't sitting on no board, because he appoints all that. So what sense does it make for us not to engage them and try to get get him removed?
Definitely. And so Brother Fred also says in 2023, legalized drugs and LGBTQ mass shootings. That means society is worse. But because the society is getting worse or is worse than what it was, that doesn't mean that we should disengage because society is worse. That means we should engage fuller. We should engage quicker. We should engage harder. That would be my thinking. Doc, what say you?
See, my thing is, and this takes me back to the old movie, The Mac, with Max Julian, Richard Pryor, and there, where we got our first archetype of the light-skinned, tall, thin pimp brother. Roger Mosley, who played the Mac's brother, he's this Black nationalist in the movie. And he says quite simply, what we need to be doing is working towards creating a nation within a nation, but without a nation. We have to be hell-bent on creating Black nationalist pockets of cities and really lay down that hammer of what is permissible in our area and what is not. And be definitely serious about it. Because here in Houston, Texas, you'll find crime in Acres Homes. You'll find crime in the 5th Ward. You'll find crime in the 3rd Ward. You don't find no crime in River Oaks because they don't allow it. In these parts of the city that I'm talking about, surround River Oaks. Go up in there and do crime. You know better. That's how our housing enclaves have to be. You go ahead and do a drive-by amongst our children. There will not be any police that need to be called. They'll call a coroner. And that has got to be the standard. We have to have a standard amongst ourselves. And I'm not one for regulating thought, but I'm damn sure one for regulating behavior. Okay, look at what you're doing. And I don't care what your age is. You should be, if you are old enough to do it, then look here, we're gonna deal with you. Okay. And that's the thing. We can't recede from, we can recede from that dominant mainstream society, but we can't recede from our own community. There has to be a standard developed, and the developing of that standard is going to be hard because our people have bought hook, line, and sinker a culture that does not now, nor has it ever reflected the best of Black America. And if you're not willing to conform to what our ideas are, you gotta go. Go on over there with the motherfucker with that. And make that what it is. Make that your home. See how they treat you. We're too permissible. We're too accommodating for foolishness.
Mhm. Exactly. And that brings us to this other video I wanted to show and get your take on it. Because a Black man who was a server was forced to wait on neo-Confederate diners. And let's just look at it and get
What if I told you a Black waiter was forced to listen to people call him the N-word or just say the N-word loosely? Couldn't do anything about it. Let me first do this. I want to take you to the video. We'll get into the background of the story. Here it is.
Story time. A party full of people wearing Confederate flag gear just tried to come eat in our restaurant. Now, when I say a family decked out in Confederate flag gear, they literally had what could have been a 2-year-old baby in a Confederate flag hoodie or whatever. And then under that, he has a Confederate flag onesie on. Like, it is never that deep, ever. And then other people that hoodies, hats, all this. And they're sitting in the middle of the restaurant, too, which is just a terrible coincidence. And to top it off, one of our Black servers had to take them because their section buddy was a white girl, but she took the last party and got stiff. I guess it wasn't good. So I guess he had to take it, whatever. So the whole time he's there, he said they're not talking to him. They're not really looking at him. They're N-word this, N-word that, while he's there at the table, y'all. While he's there at the table. Like, they're not even trying to be quiet. They're not even trying to stop. And this server is a server that's always happy, loud, outgoing, making sure everybody's good. He'll be like, you need help? You need help? Like, he'll literally go out of his way to help. And when he got quiet, like, we knew something was, like, wrong. So we're like, where's he at? Where's he at? And all this. And this man, he ended up going outside crying. And this is a grown-ass man. Like, he ended up going outside crying. And he still served them. He didn't throw a fit. He didn't do nothing and all that, which props to him. Because I would have been at that table. I would have heard the N-word and I would have... Truly props to him. Because your girl, it would have been over.
Put up the picture. A viral TikTok video posted on Saturday describes how Arthur Mandy, a Black employee at the Westchester, Texas Roadhouse in Ohio, the Westchester, Texas Roadhouse in Ohio, was forced to serve a table full of neo-Confederates. He says, and I quote, "They completely dehumanized me." The incident got so bad that management eventually had to tell all the Black employees to stay away from the entire dining area until they left. Keep his picture up. Dear brother, you're a good man. You're a nice man, decent, happy. The company that decided to tell you and all Black employees to stay away from the white racist patrons, that company does not respect you. I encourage you to seek employment elsewhere. Mandy, Mr. Mandy, 41 years of age, said he expected the party to be his last table for the night. A reservation was set for 11 people. But initially, only a small group showed up, including a baby wrapped in a Confederate coat. But Mandy said he didn't really notice customers' attire until more people joined the group. The rest of the parties walk again. The managers come and pull me aside and say, hey, if you have any issues with this table, let us know, Mandy said. Mandy told the Daily Beast that he properly focused in on the group when an older male customer sat down with them. I'm going to spill or whatever things that we offer, things that we have, what he may like. And he says, well, I'll tell you what, boy. Just give me a water with lemon. Mandy said that he grabbed the guest water, but the man kept rushing to finish his drink to order another, as if he was challenging the waiter, consistently calling him boy. and never making eye contact. He said the rest of the party joined in on the older man's tactics, laughing and snickering throughout. Mandy said he spent 20 minutes just getting drinks. Mr. Mandy is a father of 4. Said his heart was broken when a 5-year-old child with the group was directed to not speak to him while he served the table. You know why the child wanted to speak to him? Because the child doesn't understand racism yet. The child doesn't understand bigotry and hatred yet. That won't be the case for long. There's more. Then his mom chastises him in front of me. And she's like, you don't need to talk. He has a job to do. He needs to concentrate. The party allegedly ordered more than $400 worth of food. But Mr. Mandy said they complained so much that they had their bill knocked down to a fraction of that, which was probably the plan before they got there, dear brother. They also continued to distract other customers in the restaurant during a busy night, loudly using the N-word and creating a scene. Mandy said it got to be so much that he had to walk outside and cry. You know, I get really upset when people try to take dignity away from you. They was trying to take your dignity, brother. And your company, your managers, they allowed it. Now I know they're not going to like what I'm saying about them.
All right, Doc. What's your thoughts?
First off, I'm lightweight offended that you would use my home state of Ohio to prove the point that you're trying to make. But it reminds me of what Malcolm said when he said, quit talking about the South. As long as you south of the Canadian border, you south. Now, the brother need to toughen up. Okay, that's number one. Okay, and he really, really, really needs to go get a copy of Steven Spielberg's adaptation of Alice Walker's book, The Color Purple. Okay, now, if you saw The Color Purple, you knew that Mr.'s dad, Adolf Caesar, was hell on wheels. He wanted something cold to drink. Whoopi went in there to get him something cold to drink and smooth spit in it. Hey, look here.
Mm-hmm.
After dealing with me, okay, they would have, if they went and took a DNA test, they would have told them they was partially black because they would have some of my DNA up in their fucking cheek and gum line. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of going away from them and X, Y, and Z. First off, the company has the right, and we all know this, to not serve certain people. So they should have stepped in if it was a problem and not served them. That's number one. If we did serve them, they would have been scared to eat what I brought them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, this idea of being meek and mild and soft and you gonna go cry. No, hell no. You know, I'm in one of the hotbeds of Trump country, and you know, I don't know if you know Buc-ee's, the restaurant, the gas station. They had these humongous gas stations throughout the South called Buc-ee's.
Mm.
They had their rallies there, okay? And you see all these monster trucks and stuff rolling around with these Trump flags on them, this and that, okay. It happened to be right around our graduation, so I'm out there, and I went to a restaurant, seafood restaurant I go all the time. I go so much that I got my own waiter, okay? So I go up in there, and I'm sitting down, and he's waiting on the other customers who are the Trump supporters. And they look at him and they say, how you doing? His response, I'm still believing in Trump, brother. I'm believing in Trump. I said, oh no, he done fucked up his tip. Okay. He comes over to wait on me. We go through our regular thing, X, Y, and Z, and he, you know, and they had the news on. Now I'm sitting here by myself, okay, and I'm watching the TV. You know, I like to eat by myself. eat with my son. And lo and behold, guess who came across the news?
Huh.
President Joe Biden.
Oh.
So I jumped up and said, man, there go Joe Biden right there. Whole restaurant was silent. And I'm sitting over there giggling like crazy. Yo, can y'all turn that up a little bit? You do not have to be a willing victim for them. Okay? And that would be my advice to that brother. Okay? And the manager should be fired for allowing such scourge to harass your workers, let alone giving them something off. If they didn't want to pay that bill, I'd call the police. I got 11 rednecks up in here and a baby, well, 10 and a half, because we're going to count the baby as a half. So make sure you got enough transportation vehicles because they're trying to skip out on this bill. And I would add a 25% gratuity tip to it because the brother gave you great service. And that's how I would deal with it. And it's just, you know, for me, that's my home state. And outside of Cleveland, Cincinnati, Dayton, Toledo, you know, Columbus, that's what we got. And so you got to learn how to deal and address them. And believe me, I have. I give them no quarter, brother. None.
Excellent. Excellent. What did you think of the sister who was telling the story when she said a grown ass man is crying? I mean, what?
That brother, she just saying this brother didn't put too much stock in white folk.
Most definitely.
Too much stock in them. You know, who, you know, once again, Malcolm, who are they to be equal to? You're nowhere to be equal with them. Your skin look like gold compared to their skin. Okay. And it's a part of the socialization process that we have to literally put our people through. You know, you're going to have to toughen up. You can't be out here just letting them get, you know, they kicks at you being upset. Nah, you go ahead and, you know, go ahead. You want more water, sir? Because I bring 11 of them out. I bring a baby bottle out there to them, and I've been and spit in each and every one of them.
Exactly.
Did you like that one? Did you like that one, sir? And giggling inside the entire time. If they want to play, if they want to dance, let's dance.
And that reminds me of the help when the black lady said,
hey, you don't want none of that pie, ma'am. This pie right here is for Mrs. This is her pie. Yeah. There you go. Learn how to fight back. Sitting around here crying. Fight back in a way that you ain't gonna end up locked up. Okay, because you know what? I mean, I remember being at Kroger's in this, you know, this white part of town. They didn't ban me, you know, state of Texas banned me from being on the tollway, talking about you know, money and all that. So I had to go to back roads to get to where I'm going. I'm at Kroger's and I'm trying to go down this aisle, and then I forgot something, so I got to go back. And I was on the phone while I was shopping, and I saw these two white people, husband and wife, literally try to block me getting down that aisle. They just stopped and stood there. Now I'm on the phone. I said, yeah, I'm trying to get down this aisle, but these two crackers are keep me from getting down this aisle. This is the most important thing that they're gonna do today is block me being able to get down this aisle. But I need to get down this aisle because I gotta go give a lecture later at a college. And they just looked at me and moved out the way. If someone, see, you can't be holy with unholy people.
That's right.
Address it and then move on. Don't let them ruin your day. Don't let it upset you. You leave there with the upper hand. And it's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and until people really get to a point where they don't allow that pettiness to really bother them. Okay. Tariq Nasheed, when he got into it with Umar, sister called in trying to talk to Tariq and saying, brother, come on now, you better than this. And Tariq Nasheed looked right in the camera and said, sister, really I ain't. Okay. If you want to be petty, oh my God, you don't look here. I go so far and wait till you ain't looking and throw stuff in your grocery cart. And we gonna be petty. All you around the entire store just throwing some ribs, everything in there, all for you. Sitting up in here crying, and you a grown man. You don't need their validation at all. But the management should be fired, because part of management is leadership and protecting your people. Let me have been the manager. I would have let them sit there forever, drinking that spitty lemonade water that they was gonna be getting.
Exactly.
When they want to order food, are you sure you want to order some food from here? Because look in the back now. We look who cooking. Are you sure? Because you know black people is nasty. We don't wash our hands around here. Man, please. Sit around here and be scared of them. They're not your intellectual superior. No, they can't even play the dozens. The way you can talk about somebody's black mama, you can't switch that and talk about.
Exactly. You know, he even talked about that they completely dehumanized him.
Dehumanized this brother. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. They didn't dehumanize that brother. They dehumanized themselves. And that's just what it is. You know, Cat Williams said this in one of his stand-up comedies. He said, you know, he was dealing with a woman, and she said, Cat, you gave me low self-esteem. He said, B, how can I F up the way you feel about you? Don't let nobody harm your self-esteem that don't matter. And please, you know, they're the ones that are dehumanized. You know, they're you know, don't buy into that. You know, and my thing is, I get it, but that's one of the reasons why we need mentorship and socialization of our people, so that they understand how to handle these situations. That brother all upset, and he gonna take, and invariably he's going to take those emotions home to his family.
Yes, he is. Yes,
nah,
he is.
We're gonna empty that bucket right here. Okay. And I would have the other way, the black ones, they couldn't come into the middle of the room. Look here, y'all go get glasses, and everybody spit in them. So when I go back there in 20 seconds, I'll be able to grab a fresh glass of spit.
Exactly. You know, we're gonna go almost out of time. I want to hit this last video with Dr. Khalid Muhammad.
Oh, you bringing my brother up in here. Okay.
Yeah, let's.
The question is, now, you see, the way you talk have frightening quite a lot of people. Okay. All right, according to what they've been saying and what I know. And I want to know that, are you going to not necessarily be meek and humble and all that, but are you going to just minimize your way of approach? Because not everybody's a revolutionary, or they have not been trained to be that, and the fear is keeping people away from coming together as they should. Now, what can you do about that?
There's nothing I can do about that. because it's my firm belief that somebody has to be that. Everybody can't be mealy-mouthed. Everybody can't be compromising. Everybody can't tiptoe through the tulips. Everybody can't play politics. Everybody can't, if I haven't said it, compromise. Somebody has to be strong. I wouldn't have to be as strong as I am if I saw some others being strong like that. I could tone down, but I'm feeling such desperation to get the message out, to try to plant the seed in those who are strong enough that the walls of their heart, the walls of the uterus of their minds, metaphorically speaking, can hold that revolutionary life and not abort it. So I'm not looking for great crowds. Most of the great crowd, you can get a great crowd where 1 million will show up if you're compromising on the principle. If you're telling them, as I heard some rappers and some musicians say, I'm going to the Million Family March, they said. I went to the Million Man March, and I did too. And they said, I'm going to the Million Family March because this time is for everybody. So they were happy that white folks were being included. Damn it, I'll never have anything where the white man is included. Alton Maddox is not at the slave theater right now because Alton Maddox says that what I'm doing is for the African. What I'm doing is for the black man and black woman. No white folks, they came to the door, they tried to get in, they criticized him for having me there, everything. They tried to take him to court, and the old Negro judge out there that owned the slave theater ended up putting Attorney Maddox out because he wouldn't let white folks in. There must be some place where white folks can't come. Now, white folks, we can't keep them out of here. This is Harriet Tubman, this is school. If they came in here, if they can sit under the fire that I'll put on there behind, they're welcome. But when they come, I ain't changing nothing for them. If anything, it's going to get hotter and harder because I got examples to point to sitting in the audience. And I many times tune right in on them, sitting right in the audience. Look at that old ugly beast sitting there outside. Look at the way he's squirming. White folks, I say, should never be able to come into a black revolutionary meeting and be comfortable. And be comfortable. They shouldn't be comfortable. They should be uncomfortable. So I'm that one. It closes doors in my face. It cuts back on money that could go in my pocket. It drives some women away from me. I've had some sisters I was trying to talk to, and they were really, I mean, I thought it was really, you know, something. We talking, and the sisters, none of those sisters, some of them, you know, one of the sisters is a singer in this city, a singer. That's all, I didn't say actor, I said a singer. And I thought we were going out, this is some few years back. I was all excited. I heard the girl sing. I thought we were going out, and as soon as we about to make to go out, she honestly, as God is my witness, said to me, I found out who you are, really. She said, I can't go out with you. She said, I'm not lying. She said, I might get killed if I go out with you. Do you want me to die with you? It's the truth. So, I mean, all of that is a part of it. I've been to Mecca 7 times. So you ain't got to wait for me to come back and tell you that I had no change of heart because some crackers over in Mecca. I've already been 7 times, and I'm harder on them every time I come back because I found racism in Mecca. So I ain't coming back telling you that I'm changed because of some crackers I saw in Mecca. I ain't gonna change because of no communist cracker, no socialist cracker, nor a soda cracker. Or Nabisco cracker. No cracker is gonna change me. So, brother, if they stay away from me, they stay away. If the black nationalists, if the Pan-Africanists, if these other radical organizations, for certain reasons, pull back from me and I look up and they ain't with me no more, I don't give a damn. I love them still, but I keep on pushing because somebody has to hold the line. And I'm going to hold the line. Back against the wall on the 1-inch line, I'm holding the line. 4 downs down, and I'm still holding the line. You ain't going in, cracker. You're not going in. Somebody has to do that. I'm comfortable uncompromising. I understand I'm not going to be invited to this or that or the other. Somebody has to do it. And your children and your children's children will build on the legacy of the uncompromising legacy that I leave. Watch. And some of them will condemn you for being around and being such damn cowards. Your own children will condemn you. You were with him? What did he say wrong? Well, it was the manner in which he said. There's no manner to fight an enemy like this. You fight it with everything you got. Malcolm said, you want to know when your enemy will understand that you want to be free? I'm paraphrasing him. He said, your enemy will understand that you want to be free when your enemy knows that you're willing to do anything to be free. Anything to be free. God damn it, you won't even talk to be free. You want to dress it up. He's too rough. God damn it, the times are rough. The cracker is rough. Everything is rough, but you just weep with all your Africa on. And ain't no Africa no goddamn where in your heart. Malcolm said that. He say some of you, he said you left your mind in Africa. You dressed up, Negro. I don't mean all of you. Some of you fools.
And that's again the great brother, Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. Your thoughts, Doc?
Yeah, I love that brother, man. You know, remember he came to Columbus, Ohio, and I didn't, you know, I didn't understand how he was coming and our people were not standing out in a line, you know, eager to get in. And so I'll never forget, it was me and one of my professors who happened to be from New York. And she was like, I just don't understand. You know, what a line. And so we got to go in there and the brother was welcoming and talked to us and all of that, man. You know, I'm not going to say he missed his calling, but the brother was definitely a comedian, you know, and had a quick mind. You know, what he's saying is you know, is true. You know, I'm not a person that condemns white folk just out of hand. You know, I respect, you know, John Brown for what he did. He's one of the, if I was given 10 slots of somebody to have dinner with in heaven, John Brown would be one, because I just asked him, what in the world was you thinking about? You know, but you gotta, you know, what the brother is saying about, you know, don't you think that your rhetoric is too strong and this and that? Everybody's got a role, you know, to play. And one of the things that I often say about the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and I tell people, I'm like, this is why I don't ostracize myself away from brothers who are DMX like, because you never know when you're gonna need them. Okay, the Japanese leaders knew that their planes were on their way to bomb Pearl Harbor. They're sitting in a meeting in Washington, D.C. After the event happens, they get up and just leave. And if you had some brothers who you know knew how to handle something, ain't no way they would have even got out that room, let alone thought to have the audacity to do what it is that they did. So there's a role for everybody. There's a role for the scholar, for the thinker, for the warrior. There are support roles, you know. Find your role, you know, do something. And even if that doing something is you just quite simply trying to study something on YouTube, you know, start there. You know, you got to be, you know, Howard Zinn, white historian who wrote one of my favorite history books, A People's History of the United States. Zinn has this great journal article where he says you can't be neutral on a moving train. You're either going forward or you're going backwards. And I think that our people need to really, in every way, make a conscious decision about, you know, I know it's not for everybody to be, you know, active 24/7, but do something every day to aid Black folk, to aid justice. I don't care if it's you go drop a quarter in some Black school's coffer. That's something. Do something every day to help uplift our people.
Definitely, definitely. Thanks, Doc. And for our closing comments, because we're a little over time, but what message would you send to Kim Gardner out in St. Louis? If you could pick up the phone and call her, what message would you tell her? And then also, as you saw the brother question Dr. Khaled about toning down, you know, his speech, you know, because people are afraid and, you know, want to step away from you. What would you tell that brother in the time that we are in now? Because I think those are two important conversations that it takes a man to have. She needs to have a conversation with a man. She was motivated by a man. Now she needs to have a conversation with a man. And the brother who's fearful needs to meet a man. What would your conversation be?
What I would say to Kim Gardner, I'm definitely not trying to position myself as being messianic, but I would say to her, good job, my good and faithful servant. You did your part. Okay, you did your part. There's nothing else that you could have done. You know, you take, and this reminds me of something. I was dealing with Stokely Carmichael earlier today, and Stokely Carmichael has this moment in KRS-One's Edutainment album where he says quite simply, you take George Washington and put him in the middle of Valley Forge, surrounded by the British, he can do nothing. You take Dr. King, put him in Birmingham, surrounded by white racists, he can do nothing. But you take this king, you take Washington and you surround him with like-minded people and they can change the world. She did her part. Now, I wish Brother Khaled could have been there because that would have at least shook things up because he would have spoke and hopefully put a battery in the back of those Negroes who think that they're going to be saved by the Democratic Party if they just shut up. They'll learn in time that's not going to happen. In regards to that brother, you got to be strong. And maybe public speaking is not your thing, but make your scholarship, make your commitment to the community, your volunteering to be as strong as Khaled's words are. That would be a contribution and that would be pleasing to our ancestors and would move the dial of what we're trying to do forward. And I yield, brother.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Doc. Thank you. Brother Kelly said, I agree with Dr. Khaled. Then I have to agree with Islam. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, it is the only solution. And I just want to give a quick comment on that. What we got to understand is you're in a political environment that runs your life, right? So your mayor, your city council have more authority and have more control over your life than you really even realize it, you know? And so you can have Islam and let that be your life, but you can't ignore the realities that's out there in the street. So you should use your Islam to get in office and change the environment. Because if you don't do that, then your Islam is of no good because it does nothing for the community outside. We have to realize that it is not good for us to sit back and we gravitate to the teachings and keep it within our doors and don't go out there and change the reality that our people is seeing, that our people is dealing with. See, because once we do that, then we become guilty We become guilty because we're collaborating with the cracker because we're being silent and letting the drama play out. And that is something that we have to stop being accountable to, of being complicit because we're silent. Those days over with. Doc, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, what you just said reminded me of, I used to spend a great deal of time at this park in Harlem, St. Nicholas Avenue Park. Anyone who's familiar with Harlem would know where that is. They had one of the most beautiful things that I've ever experienced, and it was, they had these African drummers that came out like Saturday morning, and them brothers would play early in the morning. It was almost as if they were willing the sun to rise. It was absolutely incredible. I go back years later, and my best friend was living in Harlem at the time, so I would go up there and visit with him. And so I got up early Saturday, and I was like, "Yo, man, I'm getting ready to go to the park." And he was like, "All right, word, cool, He said, "I'm gonna take that walk with you." So walk up to the park, and I'm like, the whole thing looked different. It felt different. And I eventually said to him, I said, "Yo, where the drummers at?" And he said, "Oh man, they ain't been drumming up here in like 2 years." He said, these white folk came up in here, they got on the homeowners association boards and stuff like that. He said, took it over because we didn't show up to vote. He said, and let me put it to you like this: if there's a Negro banging on a drum over here Saturday morning, he going to jail because they said that they need their Saturday morning to sleep in. Wow. That's why we have to fight them every single time. Give no quarter. You are the greatest tool in forming the world that you want to live in. Fight them at every turn. And I fight them, even, people who are doing evil, fight them, everywhere. Don't give them any quarter, because literally your life and the life of your children and your children's children relies upon your diligence and your commitment and your attention to detail. And I yield, brother.
All right, thank you, Doc. And that will be the end of our program today. And we thank everybody. Brother Fred, we enjoyed your questions and your comments. Also, we do post the link on there for those who would like to join the panel, that you're welcome to do that. We did have a guest scheduled today, but I don't know what happened to him. I have to check back with him and see what happened. But we do got guests lined up to come for in June. Definitely an excellent program that we will definitely have to build on, because in order to be a Black man in America, a real Black man, not no nigga, but a Black man in America, it takes strength. It takes enormous amount of strength. It takes enormous amount of fortitude, energy, because as Doc said, you have to fight them. You have to fight them on every battlefield. You can't turn your back to it. We can't turn your back to it. And it's hurtful to see our sister who was taught to quit her post. She was doing a good job. But when you do a good job and the white man doesn't like it, then he's coming for you. And we have to build support groups so that we can keep them propped up on their posts, and they don't turn away and walk away. Because this is for all, as they say, this is for all the marbles. We got to make it do what it's supposed to do, period, point blank. If they come wrong at you, straighten their ass up. It's just that simple. It's just that pinpoint. This is about power. This is about the freedom and the production of our people. And where do you expect us to see? Brother Fred, you talked about how the environment has gotten worse. What will it look like 5 years from now? What would it look like 2 years from now? You got banks collapsing here and banks collapsing there. You got the dollar being taken off of the oil, meaning different countries using different currency to buy oil with. So the dollar drops even further and further. You got Russia doing their fight, and their Kremlin building has been attacked, and they're saying America was behind that. Do you expect that's going to happen? We living in the fall of America. And that's real. As we always say, you kill the nigga in you, I'm gonna kill the nigga in me, and our God will reign supreme. We are Black first, today, tomorrow, and forever. Love you, family. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom.
Peace.
Peace.